really hard.
No, no.
Okay, there we're live.
Hi, welcome to the StockinetteZombies. I'm Amy, also known as Jane Itma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It. And this is episode 345. 345. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
We're old. That's what that is.
That is, well, although I think that might be cool again. Or is that what old people tell themselves?
Maybe, but I don't know how they would have heard of it to make it cool again.
It's like a TikTok thing, right?
Could be, I don't know.
I see a Sarah out there. Hello, Sarah. Happy holidays to you as well.
I'm gonna call this the sun is too bright filter.
Which is really odd because it seems really overcast here, but
I mean it is, but the light from the window and then I don't know. It's just always washing me out.
We mentioned last week that we might not podcast this week, so this is like a bonus. Are you done working for the year?
After today.
Okay.
Still got to finish today. And a lot of people are already out, right? So it's a slower day.
Yeah. No, I'm planning to work next week. I've gotten a couple of people kind of questioning that. And I was like, well, I want to travel if I'm going to be out, right? I don't know. It just being at home now feels like also like I could be working.
Oh, yeah.
Which I guess is the problem with work from home. Like,
right.
You're like, well, why would I take vacation when I'm sitting here at home doing, I don't know. I maybe I'll take some days, obviously New Year's Eve. And then I've got the remainder of this week off, but I think a little bit of like, and I can't really use it as a excuse for very much longer because I've been in my current at my current employer for 10 years. But when I started, like I had to hoard my PTO, right? Because I had none. And so I think maybe I'm still hoarding.
But you never know when the weather's nice, there's going to be something you want to go do. And now you've got a few extra hours banked because you worked next week, right?
Absolutely.
It's still a thing. Like my employer doesn't track vacation. And so sometimes it's really hard to get people to take vacation.
It's true. There's a lot of people that I'm seeing their out of office say, I'm going to be back on January 3rd. So good for them. Them. I have a lot of stuff where when we're not having a ton of meetings, it will be great to get stuff done. GSD, get stuff done. So yeah, I'm actually kind of looking forward to having a low meeting week, high get stuff done week. So yeah.
I already had one of my people that's working next week tell me that it's going to be kind of a chill, as in like I might not be working as hard as I normally do. But it's totally okay and understandable, right? There's not going to be that many people around to ask questions to. It's going to be kind of slow. So yeah, the get stuff done, totally going to be what they're doing next week.
Just a few ZKN things that I wanted to mention. We do have kind of our end of 2021 wrap up where we'd like people to join and share off maybe their share their favorite 2021 object, whether or not they had any 2021 goals that they stuck with and are super proud of. If you're one of those people that tracks yardages and that makes you super happy, come and share with us. So it's going to be a show and share, and that's on the 2nd. And then also in January, we have Queen City Yarn is doing a dye day. And coming to a Discord thread near you, we're going to be voting on some of the colors that we will be dyeing up. So I'm super excited about that. Also, those skeins you could see your skein go through the whole process. Those will come up for sale. So definitely kind of maybe we could have some people trying to convince others to vote for the color that they would like to get as well. Yeah. So yeah, super excited there, as well as our KALs going into the new year. Yep. In addition to the ZK 2022 one kicking off, we also have the trough. It's a poncho, so it's a shawl that's connected. I've caked up, and I showed off last week my Jenna 716 hand spun that I bought off of her truck, that I'm super excited about. And then we're going to have a monthly KAL for self-striping. So that's a finish self-striping a month. If you happen to finish, you get one post a month. And then the second month you can have as at most 2. So you can scatter your finishes throughout the year or have them all at the end if you'd like. It's similar to what we've done in the past, but I know that we've got folks that maybe haven't done it in the past. And the only stipulation there is it has to be self-striping. So you're not striping it yourself. It's not, hopefully not a happy accident. I know that there are some dyers out there. I think it was Diabolical had those ones that were a little more watercolor stripes, I think is what she called. But it was self-striping.
Yes. Those are definitely designed to stripe for sure. No matter what the gauge or whatever, right?
Yes. Yeah. So all of that kind of feeds into some of my tips and tricks. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Please join us. Please go out to Discord and vote for the colorways, maybe show off. I'll start a thread for those that maybe can't attend in person, your favorite year at 2021 reflection, your favorite project or your yardage or whatever you want to share. And also we'll be doing a couple of trough giveaways. So I'll start a thread with that, post the yarn that you're going to use. And I don't think I mentioned it last time, but trough is going to be January, February. So,
okay.
Yeah, 2 skein project, January, February.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm excited. Like I was saying before, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to start with DK one or go for the full fingering one. But I think next month or next week, I'm going to be spending some time with my yarn and picking out what I want to cast on right away. I know for sure I want some socks. I've already picked that out. That is going to be Haynes House yarn. And then I believe it's a Lisa K. Ross pattern. I have it picked out. I just don't remember. I'm excited.
Yeah.
But anyway, for tips and tricks, one small administrati. I have some people out there already planning twinning. We haven't announced any of that yet. And I have a twist on twinning this year. So while it's really fun to think about the twinning and what you would want to knit same as your people, I have a twist on twinning this year. And so let's
I would say that again, you don't have to do it for bonus points, imaginary bonus points, right? You can do your own little sub KAL within the KAL that you're knitting the same thing and on the same team, and it's fun. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But there will be a twist. So if you were plotting twinning for a specific month, it's not necessarily going to be there.
Eyebrow raise, the rock eyebrow raise. Yeah.
Can I do that? I don't think you can see my eyebrows.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Stupid washout here. Anyway, I was just trying to make sure I had everything I needed here to talk about my tips and tricks. But I recently posted a picture on Instagram of a new doodad that I got. So this is called a speed weaver. And you move these things and these little hooks twist the other direction. And so this is a sock that I need to darn. And this one has like a hole in it. The other ones that I did were just kind of worn and hadn't broken free yet. But what you would do is wrap around the hook and come in and attach it down here, go up, wrap it around the hook, and then finish that. And then start weaving. But the cool thing about the speed weaver is that when you move these, it reorients the strands so that you just have to stick the needle through. And you don't have to actually up, down, weave across. You just stick the needle through, push it down. And then when you're going the other direction, you flip these and then you stick the needle through. And then you reorient these again, right? And so it's really quick. and it's called a speed weaver. When you're searching for them.
Cool. Who's yours through?
Amazon.
Okay.
There's a lot of retailers. To me, this reads like something that you can buy in bulk on websites from China, and then people are reselling them in the United States.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like a specialized through. Got it.
No, and the instructions aren't particularly to yarn and knitters, right? It's more of a patch your towels and different things that you might use a lot and wear holes in. So yeah,
cool.
So again,
did you watch a video or something about it if the instructions aren't particular to knitting, on how to kind of custom fit it for your knitting? Or
well, I mean, it's still weaving threads to patch a garment or a towel or something. So the only thing that I did was that I just intuited how I would do it, because they have you kind of latch hooking some of the threads through your towel. And I was like, well, that's a lot of work, and you cut it, and then I don't understand. I don't know. So basically, instead of that, I used the needle to go through the bottom part or the start of the square. So here's a finished one. And you can kind of see down here is where I picked up a little bit of the stitches and then wove. And then as you get to one side, I attached and went back and attached and went back, just so that this was already locked down and you didn't need to sew it down when you got done. And then at the top, you could weave all the way to the point where you had the little loops. And then I, sew right at the last bit, the little loops down so that it's a complete patch.
Cool. That helps. I was like, it may have just been where it was oriented while you were holding it up, but I was like having a hard time understanding what you're going to do there. So yeah.
Yeah. So you attach, loop up, come down, attach, loop up, come down, and then you have your weaving that's the vertical
weft or whatever.
Yeah. and then you because of the shifting of these, you don't have to do the up and down, right, where you're picking your individual threads.
Got it.
It will orient them so that half of them are up, and you just put your needle through.
Cool.
And then you do what you need to do. You move it to the other side, and then you just slide your needle through again without having to pick. So I don't know. It's really neat. I can't remember where I heard about them, but I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. And yeah, so it's it came in a very basic plastic bag and has the needle and the things that you would need. Plus it has the rubber bands. It gave me several of them just in case they break. So, but yeah, definitely something that seems like it's just, somebody reselling a tool that's been around forever.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a good pile of socks that need darned. That at one point maybe I thought about throwing in the trash, because I get so many that I wear, right, and don't need darned. But that does seem like it would help me tackle that pile, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm going to see if I can count 3. Yeah, this is 12 hooks. And I looked online and they have one that's 28. And I was thinking I might do that one too, just to see, because you can see it's kind of a small patch. And if you have your wear that happens in 2 points anywhere along your foot, you might not get the coverage you need. Luckily for me, it was all in this one area, but I noticed on this other sock that the demo sock, that it would almost be better if I had like a longer strip that went all the way across the pad of your foot. So I might order the next size up just to see how it works. And I could see patching other things with it if you got it.
Very cool.
Yep. Yep. Very cool. I like to do the visible, but I could totally see doing this with the same yarn and having it blend in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I far less of the like, oh, I still have that yarn in my scrap bin now that I did my Tunisian crochet scrappy blanket. So I would, most of mine would have to be visible, but yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, some of these are so old that I was like, I don't even know where I would look for this yarn that matches that. Like I could have given it away. I could have put it in another project. Again, yeah, because the wear just seems to happen down the line. And I don't know where the original is. But that was my tip or trick because, again, I just recently picked that up and it was really simple. Like I had both of those darned and, you know, part of an evening, not an entire evening, right? And just the mechanism of it made it kind of fun. And I didn't feel like it was a chore, right? I was like, oh, this is kind of quick and easy and fun. So
excellent.
And so, yeah, again, I think if you Google speed weaver or speed weave, you can find them in multiple locations.
Very cool. It sounds like Susan found one and it's already purchased. So. And looking at the comments.
I think it's a good one, especially because I found that duplicate stitch to patch socks, I can feel it because it's twice as thick. And it, just something about the weaving, it's not as thick and I don't feel it as much. That and it's on, you still have your original knitting and then you have the patch. So your feeling is the original fabric, right? And then you might feel additional
on the edges. I always feel the edges on the darns. Yeah.
So again, I wore them around as soon as I had them patched. So I was like, oh yeah, it's not quite as noticeable for me as when I duplicate stitch.
Yeah. Well, mine are all kind of interrelated. And I would say if I had to genericize them, it would be basically like find your joy, right? I am a goal setter. So I really enjoy setting goals and meeting them. If that is not your joy, then do not do that, right? But in general, I was reflecting back, and we can talk about it in our little ZKN chat as well. But like I was reflecting back on my goals that I had set for 2021. Again, what was it? The podcast is called Goal Digger instead of like Gold Digger. And the ones that I've kept up with are the ones that have that heartbeat, right? Where it was like, okay, this month I'm doing this. Have I used some of my books more frequently? Yes, I did, but more towards the beginning of the year when I was really focused on it, right? And the one that I kept up with the best was the once a month, use it or lose it. It encouraged me to kind of stir my stash, which was good. It needed stirred. And with that kind of, again, finding your joy, use those precious skeins. So I've got a pile of things here that like Amy's handspun has now been knit into multiple hats, right? It's like, I was hoarding this. I was not using it. It was precious to me. And now I've used it, right? I made something for my mom, which is again an upcoming design, but it was with a base that I was hoarding because I hadn't gotten a lot of it was not merino, it was BFL cashmere silk. So it was a BCS. And I was like, I'm not going to use, and now I don't even know that the dyer dyes anymore, right? So it's like, use those precious skeins. I got at Rhinebeck this beautiful green and all of the different colors of green in it. That I just finished this sweater, so you'll see it in the future. So I won't talk too much about it, but like just giving me so much joy, and it washed up so nicely, and it's so soft. And so, those precious skeins that are hanging out when you're doing kind of some of that stash stirring and looking at stuff, maybe bump those to the front of the cube, like. Tell yourself you deserve it, that you shouldn't be saving it, that it deserves to be used in the now.
Yeah.
along with that, goal setting, organization is something that brings me joy, right? So I think you showed off your bin last week that was empty, along with my the self-striping KAL. I filled this up with all of my self-striping.
Oh my goodness, Megan.
It's all self-striping, Amy.
That's a lot of self-striping. So here, mine is within reach. I'm going to show it.
Okay. To be fair, I did do a self-striping of the month club.
So
for
now
a year,
I feel like there might be equal though, because I mean, mine's just.
Yeah. I don't know. Yours looks smaller.
Yeah, it's not as wide, I guess. It's not as deep.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Mine is generally about a skein high and it's all packed in at the bottom. And then there's a few like, hanging out at the top. So like, Jenna 716, I have a ton of her yarn in here that I could be using for the ZKKALs and why it was buried in my stash. So again, go ahead.
Yeah, I have some fishnets that we purchased at one of our ZKs as well. Yeah. Like I have been eyeing my self-striping stash for, buried treasure, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there's some dyers in here that are not dyeing anymore, and I absolutely love them, and I should use them. Just looking at it makes me happy. With my organization, I am finding that I was like, I'm going to need a bigger boat. No, I'm going to need a bigger tote. That was keeping me from really stirring because they were all stacked on top of each other. So my organization system, while it was fitting my stash, it was not allowing me to
enjoy it.
Yeah, to enjoy it, to take it out, to stir it as often as I could. I've created a couple of bins. There's a self-striping bin. There's two ZK bins. There's a fingering weight sweater. Like those are my favorite. Like if I'm going to knit a sweater, it's generally going to be a fingering weight. And I've bought a lot of fingering weight sweater quantities. That was in like a huge bin with other things. And I was having to, unpile it and kind of stir it. Now it's got its own little cube that I hope to
so how many
prioritized
do you think you'll end up with?
Well, right now I have 5 of them packed, and I still have the other bins that are like been decreased. And I think it'll probably be a 2-part scenario, right? Like there'll be the deeper stash that will maybe go upstairs and it will all be laid flat where I can just pick the lid up and kind of stir, but there'll be more room in those bins because I've taken out into the like prioritized stash.
Got you. Okay.
I have a 2-tier stash system now in place.
Okay. See, and I get really weird because I had like my initial stash. I can actually show it. It's these red bins. Here. And there's only 8 bins and they're just tiny cubes, right? When you think about what I have now. And those are like now just my sweaters. And then I have more stash. I have a hand spun stash. I have a precious, fabric, the ones where, like you said, it's BFL silk or cashmere or something just that much more elevated. I have that bin, yak or whatever. And then back here in this closet, I have the bins that you described where it's kind of like, well, these are singles and I don't have a real purpose for them, but they're lovely and beautiful and I still want them.
I don't know. I know that this time of year when people are setting goals, a lot of people do like cold sheeping, right? Like they're like, oh, I'm not going to buy anything. And I think
I learned my lesson the hard way on that one. Don't do it. It just ends up with a giant binge.
That was going to be my point, is that I feel like if I commit myself to kind of, and I'm going to try to keep up my use old stash once a month. If I commit myself to doing something that makes me look at my stash and makes me stir it and try to find projects with it, if more comes in, maybe it'll be less than if I, like you said, I pent up all of this demand of like, I've been so virtuous and now I go to ZK and it's just like raining yarn, right? So
if I make it that far, because my birthday is in April. So like yours is in January, you can have the resolve to make it through 1 month, right? But when I get to my birthday month, it's like game on, or game off.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So again, I'm trying something new, right? I'm not going to try to limit myself, but I am going to try to continue to use those older sweater quantities, those older skeins. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
That's my
those are all
bag
kind of
stash.
interconnected: goals, organization, but also like if you don't dig goals and you're not into like all of this, not purchasing, reorganizing, whatever, I would say the last thing is find a KAL that makes you happy, right? Like if you like one that's all about the points and I have to do this and I have to do this and whatever, and that makes you happy, like that helps you zero in, do that, right? Find your joy with that one. But if there's ones that are really low key, like it's just like a self-striping skein here and there, right? Like join that one. Or, I feel like our ZKKAL is very much a find your own adventure, like we were just saying, right? Like there are specific challenges, but if there's somebody on your team that you both want to knit, like I think at one time we were all talking about knitting a tiny dancer with some of our yarn babies that we got from Cece's Wool. Do that, right? Like do what makes you happy. Find your joy. Find a KAL that gives you joy. And then, if you can participate in a ton of different KALs by knitting the same object, that always makes me feel very efficient and happy.
Yeah, I think if organically your group can come up with a pattern that, 5 or so want to knit, then that's fun, because then you can wear it to the event and all be wearing it and take pictures. It's a lot of fun. And if you find one that the designer is actually going to be there, oh, it's just really fun. I mean, I know that a lot of people have knit a ton of recalibrates. And so that's one
last
that
year
I'm
we had all of the summer
make another.
shandies that we got to
That
take
was
a
fun.
picture with, which was so much fun. But yeah, I mean, I know it's very obvious, like do what makes you happy, find your joy, whatever. But it's, I don't know. I just have the song "You Can Go Your Own Way" in the back of my head right now.
No, that's perfect. I like that.
Yeah. So
go your own way.
so that's my tip or trick. Again, pretty generic. I can post these bins. I think a fair number of people have tried them. You've tried them out. I like them. I mentioned at one point that I thought maybe one of them that I was looking at was waterproof. These ones that I got is definitely not. I set them up to kind of let them air out and put my hand underneath it and like dribbled a little water straight through. So definitely not waterproof, but mine aren't being stored in a place where they're going to have water. I'm more worried about critters getting into them.
And mine are doubled. Like I still have all those Ziploc bags that I invested in. I don't remember like when the moth scare happened, but there was a moth scare. I think I had
We're
some
gonna have
bins.
to put an explicit warning on this.
Oh, I know, right?
Episode.
I said the 4-letter word. But yeah, I think I had to put things outside in the snow for a couple. It was one of those things where panic set in. And then I was like, all right, everything's going into a plastic bag from now on, just like no moths here. And so I have an investment in all of those. I haven't had to purchase any new ones. I just, when the yarn gets used and different yarn can shuffle in. And so it's a double system. I have the mesh container like you do, but I have the plastic bags too.
You can tell that we both love talking about organization.
Yeah.
Because it was like, ooh, we're both talking about it. But
and who, I don't know. It's kind of like, do we love stationery? Like, I feel like there's just a certain brain that like, I love my colored pens and my fresh stationery and I, binder clips and and I also love new bins where I can put things in. And
organization is fun, but for me it's the stash stirring that's the real like it helps me internalize that I do have things. Oh, that's right, I bought that, right? Like it's kind of the out of sight out of mind thing that I put in the quote or in the chat last week when we were talking about it, right? Like I need a way to get these things in front of me now,
Mhm.
because they're not getting prioritized, because they're out of sight. So
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, it sometimes it needs to be kind of two zones, right? You have
yep,
your immediate zone and your deeper stash zone. I
yeah,
currently have that going on as well because, there's a few things that I've already slotted for my January cast on. So that
hmm,
stuff has been put into different storage than it normally
staging
is.
area.
Yeah, staging area. Yeah, exactly. If I was really like on it, they would be in bags too. But right now they're
Yeah.
just kind of
As a monogamous knitter, that is how I used all of my project bags. They were like
queuing.
go bags, like next project grab, right?
Go bags. Yes.
At any time, at any time.
Yeah, I have so many project bags right there.
Mm,
I've
yeah.
actually given away a few, so it's still more than I need.
Another thing to organize, another thing to organize.
Right. But they're
All right. Well,
organized.
yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yep.
Thank you for 2021. I can't tell you guys enough how often daily I am thankful for the knitting community, and specifically our community, that I'm in touch with. It's amazing. You guys have given this year that I think we all thought was going to be much different than it was, even with the hindsight of 2020. Um, some levity and some joy. And I love you all. And I hope that you take some time during this holiday season, whether or not you're celebrating a holiday season, yeah, enjoy a quiet moment, and yeah, find joy in your crafts as
Yep.
we do. So
All right. Bye.
bye, Ufta.